Mansfields Melbourne is brought to you by Hudson Bond Real Estate, building for your future and assuring you of personal attention at all times. It's Monday, and this is your special Labor Day holiday edition of Mansfields Melbourne. Hope you're having a lovely weekend. Every weeknight at 6 here on Optus LocalVision, we bring you the latest of what's happening here in Melbourne, and we meet Melbourne's most interesting people. Tonight we meet an Ivanhoe man who started his own radio station. We talk with a young man helping people with their accounting problems. We look at the coming weekend's Templestowe Festival and our regular Monday home and property feature with Scoresby real estate agent Martin Pettit. But first, let's make a look at what's making headlines in Melbourne tonight, Monday, March the 10th. And Kilsyth may have its own privately owned waste transfer station in Canterbury Road if plans for a $150,000 facility go ahead. The centre, planned to open 7 days a week, will accept solid wastes. A similar centre, planned for North Bayswater, was recently rejected by Maroondah Council. In other news, in the suburbs, thousands of Broadmeadows jobs could be lost if recommendations for an inquiry into the automotive industry are accepted by federal government. The Labor Party warns that a change of tariffs could mean more imported cars and local manufacturing cut back severely. Queen Victoria Market stallholders say their job certainty and the market's character are threatened by changes proposed by Melbourne City Council. Stallholders believe they will lose the right to permanent stalls and could face restrictions under new management structure for the market. Over at Knox, residents who want an extra rubbish can be hit by a charge of an extra $135 a year. And that's the news to this moment. You're watching Mansfields Melbourne. Welcome back to Mansfields Melbourne. We like to meet people in this state that are doing things, particularly young people. I think it's very inspiring for all ages, and one such gentleman tonight we meet first up is Anthony Riordan. Hello, Anthony.
How you doing, Bruce?
Welcome to Mansfields Melbourne.
Thank you.
Riordan or Riordan?
Oh, don't say Riordan, it's Riordan.
Riordan, right. That's a bit of Irish, isn't it?
I was going to say it should be Riordan.
Yes. Now listen, you've started FCDM. What does that stand for?
First Choice Debt Management is the name of the firm.
First Choice Debt Management.
Yeah.
And what do you do?
Primarily we're a credit management company. We started 3 years ago assisting my father's company, who had a significant problem with debtors, being people who owe him money.
Yep.
And we've tried to perhaps set up a system that helps small business, intermediate business and large business handle their debtors.
Also, you help out on accounting to many of your clients too.
Yeah, we do a lot of invoice production, so a lot of firms either don't have the infrastructure or can't afford to set up their own accounting system,
Right.
so we do that for them.
So Anthony, how old are you?
21.
So you started when you were about 18 then?
Yep. Yep.
Just out of university?
Still in university.
Really? Now, do you get a lot of country work, Anthony?
We do. Primarily, I'm actually born and bred in the country.
Right.
So we do get a great deal of country work.
What
probably.
about semi-government work?
Yeah, it's a very hard market to crack because I'm only young and we're only a small firm, but we're getting there. And it's probably something further down the track that we hope to get a lot more of.
When you were younger, did you like figures? Did you like maths and management of money?
Yes, it's sort of in the breeding, I think, unfortunately.
Oh, no, that's very good. It's very commendable.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it a lot.
So you're in partnership with Dad, or you work with...
No, I'm not, no. I started the firm. I've got a partner who's a solicitor, so he's got the legal mind.
Yeah.
And no, it's got nothing to do with the family. I just used, I guess, our family firm as a springboard.
Sure, that's good. What is the... I suppose with the economy and things, do people pay up quickly as far as debts are concerned?
I guess the mentality from years ago is a 30-day account was always paid in 35 or 40 days. And I think now, whether it's the economic climate or whatever it may be, that people now pay on 60 and 90 days.
Right.
And my firm's biggest, I guess, what we try and do is get the mentality of people to pay their accounts back on that 30 to 35.
Yes, yeah. And most people generally pay up, do they?
I think so, they do, yeah.
What do you do if they don't?
Well, we've obviously got, there's a train of events that take place in endeavouring to get somebody to pay an account.
Right.
generally speaking, 95% of people have every intention of paying an account. You'll always have a 5% who have no interest at all. So we have a chain that'll go right up to bankruptcy proceedings if we have to.
Yeah.
But obviously that's something that no one really wants to.
And listen, you're off to Hong Kong in a couple of weeks' time.
It's the rugby
Rugby
Super Sevens.
and you play for that?
Oh God, no.
No? What do you do then? What's the involvement?
Going over, primarily going to Hong Kong to look at a few things, how people do credit management in Hong Kong. And whilst I'm there, I'm going to watch the Rugby Super Sevens.
That's great. Well, you'll love that. Anthony is on level 1 at 317 Montague Street, Albert Park, and the phone number for FCDM, which stands for?
First Choice Debt Management.
Right. The number is 96969417. Thank you, Anthony. Good
Thanks,
luck.
Bruce.
You're an
Nice meeting
inspiration.
you. Thank you.
This is Mansfields Melbourne on Optus LocalVision. Welcome back to Mansfields Melbourne, and our headliner guest tonight is a man who's had a connection with well, more than 40 years with Melbourne's media and its people, and we talked to him tonight about the early days of television and TV Week. Bruce Skeggs, how are you? Bruce, welcome to Mansfields.
Hi, Bruce.
Melbourne.
Great to be with you and your viewers.
Good old pal of mine back in the 3XY days when you were doing trots.
Trots and races, yes, that's
That's right. Yes. Where did it start for you, the race calling, the trots?
Oh, well, I was a young journalist, a cadet reporter on the Argus, and one day I went to a trotting meeting and there was no commentator turned up, and I was only about almost 17, and the president of the club said, well, look, we've got nobody else to do this, son, you're a journalist, don't you? Get up and call the races. So I did, and at the end of the day I was booked by 6 other country trotting clubs to become their broadcaster. And that went on to, for 33 years, I called harness racing, 34,000 races, and a world record when I retired.
Did you do any overseas work?
Oh yes, 16 countries I called harness racing, and all over Europe and America.
Do you still do it, or is there a cut-off point where...
Oh yes, I retired from it in 1982 after 33 years of it. It was always only a sideline job, of course. My main work was journalism and then later politics. So it was a sideline job I enjoyed and took me all over the place, but I'd have to say it was pretty hard going because sometimes I was on 4 and 5 days or nights a week.
Yes, yes. It'd be a tough job too, wouldn't it? You're learning colours, numbers.
Well, that's right, and you've got to almost erase those from your mind after you've done them because there's so many different races.
Yes. Now let's look at the formative years of TV Week, which are phenomenally, well, it seems to have outstripped all the other TV magazines.
Oh
that
yes,
come along.
wonderful, wonderful magazine. I'll tell you what happened. I was on the Argus newspaper as a journalist, and of course it closed in just after the Olympic Games in early 1957, and well, naturally I was looking for something else to do, and I thought, well, television's just starting. It's timely to come up with a magazine for television. So I actually designed TV Week at that stage, took it down to Southdown Press, which was then run by Rupert Murdoch, a young Rupert Murdoch in his infancy. His first publication was New Idea and TV Week, as it turned out, and they bought the idea off me, and I stayed on as the editor with that publication for some years.
So you didn't start it, but you were there almost at the very beginning.
I created it.
Did you keep any of those editions? Because they're very
Yes.
collectible now.
I
Bruce.
still have them,
Yeah.
and I still have my original design for TV Week too.
Oh, that'd be worth a lot. But that would be like a good memory to keep.
Oh, wonderful memory, and of course they were great days. I had such wonderful people working around me as Jack Ayling,
Oh, great.
and yes, and Rod Lever, and a lot of famous people.
Were the Graham Kennedys and Bert Newtons of those days, I mean, they were just learning television, and as you were they open to interviews? There was no rejection at all?
They were very anxious to be featured on TV Week, and we even did horoscopes on their lives' predictions. Some of them turned out right too.
Yes.
Bert Newton, Panda, the whole lot.
I remember it was a very small magazine, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
It was quarto sized.
Any reason for that?
Well, it was meant to be a handy size that you could keep on top of your TV.
Yes.
But of course, later on, with the growth of television, they had to double it to quarto size.
Right. Now let's talk about politics. How did that enter your life?
Well, yes, I was a young journalist again, living in South Yarra at the time, and I was working on the Argus. And one day I was sick, and the doctor called on me, and he said, "You're a journalist, son." He said, "You must be." Surely you're interested in politics? I said, well, I've never really taken much interest. Anyway, he got me to come along to a Liberal Party meeting at Faulkner Park branch, and they made me the secretary on the spot, I suppose because I could type.
Well, the opportunities that have arisen in your life have always been very instant then.
Yeah, they are.
The calling of the races,
Yeah.
the involvement in politics. You must think on the spot and make a decision there.
I guess I do. I take the initiative when it comes up, and of course I went along to the Liberal Party meeting, and later on became the secretary of the federal electorate, and then also the original secretary-treasurer of the Liberal Speakers Group, which was the training ground for politicians. Andrew Peacock was a vice president, and a lot of interesting people were in that. And I did that job, became the president, and then when Vernon Christie, the late Sir Vernon Christie, retired in 1973, I became the endorsed candidate for Ivanhoe, and that was my first seat in Parliament.
But you were mayor of the city of Heidelberg and now standing for the city of Banyule this coming week.
Yes.
Very briefly, the issues at stake there, Bruce.
Yes, I think the issues at stake are you'll have an entire council of new people who've never had any experience in council. I'm the only person who's an ex-councillor of the city of Heidelberg, and of course a parliamentarian who's served the area for many years. I was 9 years member for Ivanhoe, then later on 7.5 years member for Templestowe province, covering the same area, but also of course served in the council for 6 years, and as you said, mayor in 1990-91. So I know the area, know the people, and I think you're going to need an experienced voice in there.
Yes, well, I know, having
In
been
the
out there
council.
for a long time myself, your involvement in the community and your presence has, well, for almost as long as I've been there, has always been much to the forefront and very good serving the community.
And you and I started community radio together.
I'd like to
didn't we?
get you back one day on Mansfields Melbourne and talk about 3INR, one of the first community stations and one of the most successful. We'll do that another time.
Absolutely.
Bruce Skeggs, congratulations for what you've done and good luck in the elections coming up.
Thank you very much
Good on
indeed,
you.
Bruce, my old
Bruce
friend.
Skeggs on Mansfields Melbourne, back in a moment. Welcome back to Mansfields Melbourne, and March is a very exciting month in Melbourne. We've got the Moomba Grand Prix, and now comes the Templestowe Festival. And one of the leading lights there, one of the organisers, is Lula Black from Templestowe Cellars. Hello Lula, welcome to Mansfields Melbourne.
How are you?
Well, it is a great event. I know the Templestowe area, love it out there. And how long has the festival been running?
4 years. This will be the fourth festival.
And somebody tell me the waiters race is one of the highlights.
Yes, yes. That was my brother's idea.
Tell us about it.
He's thought, why should Logan Street have all the fun?
Yes.
And we were thinking of something we could sponsor for the festival. And he came up with the idea of having a wine waiters race, and it's really fun.
So
A lot of broken glasses, a lot of wine on the floor, but it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
So do you block off
Yes,
the main street there?
yes, yes, yes. There's closures there, and
Yes.
it's just on the T intersection of James and Anderson Street in Templestowe.
So it kicks off on March the 16th.
That's right.
This Sunday.
That's this Sunday from 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock.
Right.
And we've got lots of things for everyone. You know, there's a school parade. There's the wine waiters race, of course. There's a spaghetti eating contest.
Tell us, what, fastest to eat it?
Yes, there's the fastest to eat. It's going to be really messy, but that'll be fun.
Well, our producer Ash Long wants to be involved in that.
Wonderful.
I'm sure.
The other thing is too that we're having a big stage performance, Las Vegas style thing with George Capianaris.
Great.
Yeah, so that's really good.
Where is that going to be staged?
That's going to be on a stage on the corner there.
Right, right.
So we're going to have a lot of stage performances. There'll be a lot of multicultural things, like it will be opened by
the console or the...
no. Actually, another thing that's going to happen is we're having an opening of the netball complex, which was an initiative of Manningham Council.
Right.
What was previously the Templestowe Primary School
Yes.
is now been turned into a netball complex.
Is that the school behind the
That's
shopping centre?
that's right.
Very
yes,
old,
yes,
historic,
that's right. That's Templestowe
building.
Primary. It was very sad when it went,
Yes.
but it's really nice now that it's
So
being
they
developed.
amalgamated with another school, obviously.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
So it's being opened by lion dancers, Chinese lion dancers, which will be very nice.
Right. And
We're
is
having
the dragon there?
no, not a dragon,
Okay.
just lion dancers, but that will be nice.
Humphrey Bear?
Humphrey Bear, yes, that's right.
So it seems that every member of the family will enjoy Templestowe
That's
this weekend.
right, exactly right.
There are tastings too of
Yes.
20 Chardonnays at Templestowe Cellars.
That's right, yes. We're having, as my brother will be conducting the tastings.
Right, that's at 132 James Street in Templestowe.
That's right, yes.
They're open 7 days a week, by the way. So it's March the 16th.
March
That's
the
this coming
16th.
Sunday. It's called the Templestowe Festival, and I know from past years it's one of the best in the area.
Yes, we're really looking forward to it. It'll be a great day.
Good. Where are the funds? Do you raise money there?
Yes, Manningham Council support us financially, which is wonderful, and we
that's
have a
good.
lot of wonderful sponsors.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
wonderful sponsors. Rotary is helping. Rotary is organising the children's entertainment.
Anything for sale?
Yes, there'll be 50 stalls, so there'll be market stalls, there'll be food stalls, you know, there'll be cooking demonstrations, there'll be lots of things for everyone.
Lula Black, thank you for being with us tonight. And apart from Moomba and the Grand Prix, the Templestowe Festival is a must on my calendar. Thank you very much indeed, Lula.
Thank you very much.
This is Mansfields Melbourne on Optus LocalVision. Now let's have a look at Melbourne the way it was, thanks to the National Sound and Film Archives.
Strong vertical shadows betray an outdoor set lit by direct sunlight. This is actually the rear of Johnson & Gibson's chemical works in St Kilda. Here Ned Kelly doles out beer to his gang while the Glenrowan Hotel staff are held hostage. The mood suddenly changes as police surround the place and a siege begins. The rippling image shows that the film was caught just in time for copying. All old nitrate-based film eventually decomposes to this dreadful unusable state. The scene of the death of Joe Byrne is totally decomposed. Police surround the Glenrowan Hotel, actually a shack in the then rural area of Whitehorse Road, Mitcham, although other accounts give the Chartersville estate at Heidelberg as the locale. Wherever this might have been, it's probably a mass of unrecognisable brick, veneer and bitumen by now. As the police set fire to the hotel, the suspense grows in one of the world's first action feature films. The bravery of Father Gibney is commemorated in these scenes of the attempts at rescuing hostages. Written titles were a new innovation in film. Earlier movies were descriptively announced with lantern slides, or with a live spoken commentary like the description I gave of the royal visit coverage. Steve Hart and Dan Kelly shoot each other rather than face capture. A filmmaker's salute to the gallantry of bushrangers, which set up the producers for one of Australia's first film censorship battles. For many years, bushranging films were banned. The fictitious fire, as you can see, only raged in an old apple crate, but in close-up it looked fairly convincing. Ned's Last Stand was played in Ned's original armour, which was borrowed for the occasion from Sir Rupert Clarke. This Kelly feature was an interesting departure from previous movie newsreels and actualities, but until the 1970s, these fictional films were only a tiny percentage of the film produced locally. Newsreels and documentaries exceeded the footage released in narrative features by a factor of 5 to 1 or more. Most of the really polished Australian productions made in those early days were short non-fiction efforts. It's very difficult to gain any overview of the Australian film production industry before the First World War, as only about 5% of the prints are known to survive today. We're fortunate to have even this decaying scrap of our original Killer Gang production as a sample of movie fare from a time when there was no permanent cinema and no film libraries. The storytelling tradition of cinema as we know it today was only just emerging.
Hello, this is the Community News. I'm Claire Halliday. Casey Council in Melbourne's southeast has swung its support behind the efforts to retain Waverley Park as a major Melbourne football venue. Casey CEO Mike Tyler says the stadium should be retained to cater for the growth in the southeast, expected to double in the next 20 years. Frankston is fast earning a reputation as the state's most notorious drink driving area, according to one of the district's top policemen. Chief Superintendent David Triplow says latest figures have shown a rate of 1 in 30 drivers to be caught at random breath testing stations. Police are stepping up their vigilance. The relocation of the Coode Island chemical storage area could be 20 years away, according to the Brimbank Independent newspaper. HasMag Group spokeswoman Colleen Hartland says the state government knew that its alternative Port Lilias plan would not pass an environment effects statement procedure. And Police Week takes place next week at the Glen Waverley Police Academy. Guided tours will be conducted and people can find out more about the men and women in blue. That's all from the Community News Desk. Now back to you, Bruce.
Thanks very much, Claire Halliday. Now to our home and property segment on Mansfields Melbourne, and to the expert out in Knox, Scoresby real estate agent Martin Pettit. Good evening, Martin.
Good evening, Bruce. Nice to see you.
Your third week with us.
It is indeed. I hope I'm getting a little bit better at it.
You certainly are. I've heard that from a lot of people. Now, next week is Senior Citizens Week, and it's a big flag-raising ceremony that welcomes this week.
It is indeed. At Knox, the Amaroo Hostel for the Aged raised the flag, and together with some backup from the local council have been wrapping up roses and issuing them to all of the senior citizens at all of the hostels and old people's homes for the aged. And on Tuesday the 11th of March they're planning a sing-along at the Bayswater Community Centre.
Oh good, and I understand that 1,000 roses will be wrapped and distributed to the aged in the area.
That's right, and in fact talking to a couple of senior citizens there's a few points which are quite interesting. I asked what was the definition of a senior citizen, and it was one who was there before the pill.
Yeah,
and of course frozen food, credit cards and ballpoint pens.
Yes, good Martin, you're doing a little routine on your own. Now listen, tell us about the Bayswater Community Centre too. That's linked very strongly with it.
It is indeed. It's actually going to be having a debutante ball dance which will be on Friday, March at 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Roval Community Centre, organised through the Bayswater Centre, and there's going to be a bowling contest for the senior citizens as well.
Well, it seems to me that Martin Pettit Real Estate is getting behind all of the activities out there.
We are indeed, and also we do get a number of the senior people looking to move into retirement villages, and we often get called in to sit down and discuss their concerns with the value of their current real estate and how best to market the home and go about selling it.
Well, that's very caring, isn't it? I think people at that age and stage need that care.
They do, and fortunately many of the retirement villages are also aware of that fact, and they will reserve the units for the aged while they are given the opportunity to sell their home.
All right, so let's get this right. Senior Citizens Week commences with a flag-raising ceremony this week.
That's right.
And then across at the Bayswater Community Centre there's a festival, an international festival.
It is indeed.
Let's have a look quickly at the home of the week out in the Knox area. Just tell us about this, Martin Pettit, if you would.
This home was built and designed by a young couple, and it's got the most magnificent bar with beer on tap in the rumpus room. He will indeed. And a lovely big garage, as you can see, cathedral ceilings.
Beautiful. And
a very contemporary designed home with open plan living inside.
How much?
Very realistically priced, $179,950.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well below its actual building cost.
All right. That's just another sideline to Martin Pettit Real Estate, and also community work with the retirement villages out in the Bayswater Knox area.
That's right.
Hope it's a good week ahead for you.
I'm sure it will be, Bruce.
Just stay with us. Martin Pettit, by the way, is in Ferntree Gully Road, number 4, Ferntree Gully Road, Scoresby, 9763900. Martin Pettit will be back with us next Monday on Mansfields Melbourne, and thanks for our guests tonight who have been terrific, Bruce Skeggs, Anthony Riordan and Lula Black. And that's it for Labour Day here in Melbourne this Monday, March the 10th. This is the day when the Apex Club was established in Australia in 1931. It was formed following a meeting of 3 men in Geelong. And it was the day also in history when Alexander Graham Bell invented the first telephone. Of course, his greatest invention was the second telephone. Join us at 6 o'clock tomorrow night on Optus LocalVision. And that's it for another night in our city. From Mansfields Melbourne, good night. Mansfields Melbourne is brought to you by Hudson Bond Real Estate. Building for your future and assuring you of personal attention at all times.